Serpent Mother, you abandoned us. You turned on us. I try to walk the path, your path. But it's so difficult without guidance. Most of our kind have forgotten you. They spit on your name now. But I didn't abandon you. No, I forgive you. I have to follow others now. Others like Kadar. I find opportunities in the situations he gets us into. This latest challenge is quite a bit more than I would have expected, though. Working for a fire rack dragon? How could this possibly end well? But then again, it seems like it only wants one thing from this Citadel we're supposed to rob. We can keep the rest. I sure hope they got great jewelry in that vault. This stuff is not enough. I'll find you a worthy offering there, Mormo. I promise. This is Red Moon Role-Playing.
Our band has been formed, our three unlikely adventurers, coming together in service to a fire rack dragon, a servant of the Titans. If there was ever a more disreputable opening to a story, I don't think I have encountered it. Instead of taking the noble course, or maybe even the course of flight, they decided that their best option, to enrich themselves and guarantee their safety, was to serve a fire rack and to steal the mercy armour from the Citadel of Vilhaim. And so our characters rode hard and fast across the plains toward Lodok, and their quickest possible passage to the Citadel out to sea. As they rode, they of course passed the walking elf who was heading in the same direction on foot. He was too meek to call out anything after them after they had robbed him blind and given him enough rations perhaps to save him should he be accosted by nothing more than hunger. Now our characters arrive in Lodok, a small town used largely by smugglers, usually from Shelzar of the sweltering plains. Shelzar being a city of sin and vice and pleasure. Some of its wares arrive in Lodok and then spread further inland to where you are now, throughout Zathisk. But you are not here to head west. You are here to find some manner of vessel that will take you out to the blossoming sea and into the Citadel of Vilhaim, where you will have to launch a successful heist or risk being eaten or burned alive by a dragon. Lodok is a community built largely from wood and some grey stones that make up the cliffs of these parts. It is predominantly human in this part of the world, although there are several noble Asathi families in this particular town as well. While it's largely used for smuggling, a bit of trading, some fishing, it is nowhere near the size or opulence of its larger cousin Zagend to the east. This is a place you go to if you don't have the money, the reputation, or general good standing that you would need to charter a legitimate vessel. This is the place you go if you're trying to find your way out of Zathisk by sea and avoid notice.
This feels like just my kind of place. What do you think, Kadar?
You said there are actually some noble Asafi families in this town. Would I maybe know of any?
Yeah, I think you would. You don't have to make a roll for that. You're aware of the Pite family, They are the predominant noble family in this part. It isn't just in the town, mind you. They own some of the lands beyond it, and they claim some of the seas. The Pites are a rich and powerful family, and their various children hold territories like this all over Gelspad and beyond. Beneath them, the Hara family, known for their glittering red scales. Back in the past, they used to claim that they were descended from fire racks, and it's no longer fashionable to make those kinds of claims. Their main truck and travel is supposedly in magical weapons, although you have to pay a damn high price to ever get to see one. The more cynical view these days is that the Hara family of Asathi are living on credit and have nothing left to trade. Their height was 2 generations ago, and their fast dwindling fortune will soon see them levelled to the rank of commoner. The final family is the Palin family of Asathi. They are slavers. There's no other way to put it. They are firm adherents of the idea that the only way Gelspad can recover to its former greatness is through slavery, and specifically the slavery of small folk, such as halflings and dwarves, because, according to the Palins, they have not earned the right to taste the sky. They have just earned the right to taste the soil and toil their pitiful lives away. They're not popular.
No, I take a moment to think of the families I've heard living in the area. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of this Palin family either. Slaves are so antiquated. You get far better results when you actually reasonably fairly treat your workers. They at least then have an incentive to do better work for you. No, very uncouth. Now, the Hara family. I will mention to Vasaf. You know, the Hara family have fallen on hard times.
Would I know anything about the Hara family?
You've heard many similar things. You once knew one of the Haras. Name was Sinki Hara. And this particular Asathi was born of a certain wanderlust, often said to you that my family has pretensions of nobility and lost it a long time ago. So Sinki was looking for his own fortune.
I think you might be right. They might be just the kind of people who could help us out. Helps that they kind of look like fire acts.
Indeed. After all, they would be very willing to do something that could increase their own standing. And, well, Clan Kadash owes many favors. Attila! We believe in this town. There is a family known as the Hara family. They are another clan. Perhaps not well represented in the Jeweled City anymore, but still, all clans of our people are important. When you are part of a clan anyway. And, well, they might be willing to aid us if they were aware that we were trying to get something that could help our people as a whole.
I'm looking around slowly and almost leisurely at the town. Though with some sort of vigilance, I've been looking away as you have been sort of riding together, whispering things. And when you call my name, I look over and I say, sure. So you think they would be happy to assist us? What would they know about it? Do they know about passage?
They might know all kinds of things, and they might have access to a ship. And perhaps if we were to offer them a humble portion of the treasure, obviously we need to ensure that we get our part, and that we get what the dragon is asking for, but they would certainly be amply rewarded. This could be their big chance. to become the leading clan again.
Yes, but remember, the most important thing here is that they might also know if there's something more valuable than the mercy armor in the fort, something that could maybe appeal to our own people. After all, the mercy armor has to go to the fire rack dragon, and unless they know how to kill one, well, we are going to probably have to honor the bargain in that way.
I ride a bit closer. And you're sure they would not have any sort of allegiance to the people in the fort? We can't exactly allow anyone to know what we're going to do.
Well, the people of the Citadel, I believe, keep to themselves. They are not so much aligned to anything, they're simply doing their duty, as it were. Of course, you are correct. We don't want to come across as criminals. Because we're not, technically.
And I look at you and I nod, yes. Mm-hmm.
What say you, Fasaf? Didn't you know someone from the Hara family? You mentioned that once, didn't you? I can't remember.
Sinki, yes. Good friend from my youth. Yes, I know the Hara family. They're good folk. I think we should move to their estate or their dwelling, whatever they have left here, and then we can see if we can parlay and come up with a plan to get ourselves over to the Citadel.
That does sound like a good plan. I'm glad I thought of it. What say you, Attila?
I am silent for a little bit, so that you might be wondering what I'm thinking. As I'm thinking to myself that I'm never working together with someone. I mean, I'm always sent out doing things on my own, and this feels a bit strange. I don't think I've ever even encountered a Southie, and let alone talked to them, because I've been very isolated in the Dwarven community. And it's kind of hard to read my facial expression. But slowly I start nodding, and then I say nothing more.
Good. Or how is it your people say, and I speak something in Slytherin. I say, many rats lead to many triumphs.
And I freeze up a bit at this. And I speak back in Slytherin as well.
How come that you speak this tongue?
I look a little incredulously and say, oh dear me, boy. Switching back to common. You don't get out much, do you? Come, Slytherin are everywhere. There's plenty in the Jewel City. All us redeemed races do need to stick together after all. It's not like those humans and elves are our biggest fans. Sometimes, anyway.
I look thoughtful. And then after a while I say, in part to myself, I speak still in Slytherin, I think, and it's almost as if I'm tasting the words.
I haven't spoken this tongue in decades.
Well, it's an amusing language. I enjoy it. It's like I always say to Fasaf, if you can't speak to those working for you, what's the point? You may as well just be hitting them on the head with an iron rod. Ha ha!
He does say that.
And yes, I let you sort of lead us on then towards what you might think would be this estate of this clan.
Yes, I'll start leading the way quite confidently into the town, even though I don't actually know where I'm going at all.
No, there's a few different, obviously, noble estates, not just of the Asathi, but as that's where you're looking, you can see that some of the more opulent, closed-off buildings are in the cliffside or down on the waterfront, but behind walls that have been constructed to barrier the rest of them off. Outside of those little enclaves, the remainder of town is pretty dire. As I say, it's mostly made of wood and this grey stone. It makes it have an entirely grim appearance. And the people trudging back and forth with their wares, talking to each other in the streets, have the look of people who want to keep themselves to themselves, or have something to hide. There's a lot of averted gazes. You can't point out exactly where the Hara family make their domain within this town, but you can certainly identify the difference between the rich and the poor. You see the flapping shingle in the breeze of a tavern down by the dockside. In fact, there's two on either side of a busy street. There is also, surprisingly to you, a fountain that is a little just back from the seafront. It's not working, and it appears there was a statue in the centre that's been snapped off at the feet, but it makes the low dock town have a little character. Occasionally there's a few dotted trees, a few copses. You're not really sure what their purpose is this close to the seafront, but they have dark bent trunks that mean all the trees lean slightly, making these clusters of between 5 and 10 trees where people may stand in the shade perhaps, or conduct deals they want done away from other people.
I sort of take my bearing, looking round from my pony, forsooth, and I remark, well, Asaf, come on, ideas, where should we be heading next? Perhaps a tavern, or maybe someone might have seen your friend, or know how we can speak with them.
Yes, I know what to do. And, I begin moving towards, well, if there is a tavern that looks less than reputable. I'm trying to see if I can find some fellow thieves.
Neither of the taverns look particularly savoury, but one is open to the elements and the other is walled off. So it really depends on whether you want to go to the kind of place that people can see everything that's going on within, or the kind of place that's closed off to the world.
One of the walled off ones then, perhaps. That could be interesting.
And just for the sake of clarity, the open one is named the Blossoming Bounty. The closed-off one is simply called The Cave. The Cave is a darkly lit tavern. It's clearly frequented by fisherfolk and, well, undoubtedly smugglers. The tone of voice in here is low. There's no entertainment, no bard or minstrel playing a lute. People come here for business, not for pleasure. You have been to dockside towns before now, and quite often, if it's a town as run down as this one, most sailors retreat back to their ships and will drink there and eat there rather than enjoy the few pleasures that exist in a place like this. Still, it's moderately busy. You count around 10-15 people scattered around the tavern, some with each other, some sitting alone. There's 2 people at the bar talking to each other, stood behind it, and there's one servant, a halfling, scuttling backwards and forwards between table and bar, delivering drinks.
I don't see anyone who would strike me as perhaps being of my ilk. No one that would strike me as being part of a thieves' guild, perhaps, or the Triangle, perhaps.
I'm not going to make you roll for that again, as you've done this already in this adventure. So you have a bit of a scan around the tavern. That draws some attention. Someone wandering in off the street and just looking left and right is kind of what the people here are trying to avoid. And so you see a few individuals bristling a little at your surveillance. But you do pick out a couple of drinkers sat at a table, speaking in hushed tones. They've not looked up at you. They both wear silver pinky rings with some kind of sigil engraved into it. That's your best bet for members of the Triangle here.
Well, then I shall try to make myself seem as natural as possible, and I go up to the bar and I order a drink.
I do the same. And I ask the barkeep,
So, what's the news around town?
News is... there ain't much news, sir. He looks you up and down. Grog good enough for you?
So, what's that statue outside? This fountain?
Used to be statue to Chardoon. He looks up at the sky. But there's been a bit of an uprising from some of the servants around here. They went and vandalised the statue not 2 weeks ago.
Unwise. You don't want to anger Chardoon. His anger tends to be quite, well, brutal, especially against servants acting out of place.
It does, but I'm not one of those servants, so what could I say for their bravery or foolishness? Here's your drinks, gentlemen.
I frown a little at this grog he mentions. It's not really the sort of thing I want to be drinking. However, I never turn down a drink, so I will still drink it.
And I shall move towards these silver-wearing people and see if I can make contact with the triangle.
It's 2 ladies, one of whom is an elf, the other one is human. As I say, they're very much keeping themselves to themselves. Are you just going to be as direct as to sit with them, or is there another tact you wish to take?
I shall sit close enough that they could overhear what I'm saying, and then the thieves' cant is a thing here as well, right?
Yes.
Well, then I shall place a few chosen words from the thieves' cant, just kind of putting it out there, just like, hey, I'm here, I know who you are, and I let you know who I am. Perhaps we could talk.
The human female looks up at you. She's of dark skin, many piercings through her eyebrows and nose, and rubbing the side of her face, she squints at you. Can't say I know you, Cutter. Maybe move on.
Don't worry, it won't be long. Wanted to find out if you know anything about the Haras. Where are they at? The family. Used to be some. Aren't anything anymore. I'd like to talk to them.
The Haras, well, if they'll see someone like you, you'll find them in the estate just down from the wharf. They're pretty much at sea level. You won't be able to miss it. They're the stones in their walls are all bedecked in red spirals.
Thank you. And, what's going on with the Citadel? Do you know what's going on over there?
Nothing I'm aware of. Seems to be business as usual as far as I'm aware. It's not like anyone's going over there and stealing anything. That place is a fortress.
Anyone try?
No one who ever made it out.
Huh. Wow.
You know what they say? It isn't the guards on top you need to worry about over there. It's the monsters they keep underneath.
That sounds serious. Well, thank you. Thank you kindly. Don't worry, I won't interfere in your business here. Good luck with your operations.
Appreciate it.
As he comes back, I nudge Attila in the side, which, considering the size of my elbows, probably to Attila feels like the smallest little swat from a fly. And I say, Well, what did you get from your whisperings, Asaf?
My tail twitches a little bit at the nudge in the side, and it's hold high as if it's about to swing at you. But my focus seems to be still focused on some food that I've ordered, and I'm sitting there eating. I half pay attention as Thashath is coming back.
Their estate is the one by the wharf, the one with the red markings and the stones. We won't be able to miss it if we head over there. I also asked about the Citadel. It turns out that anyone who's ever tried to rob that place, well, they didn't make it back. Which means that we will be the first ones to do that.
Well, that's certainly something exciting. Although, not like we want people to know we've done it, so I suppose the fame will only be in our hearts.
Yes.
I wipe my mouth and I look over. So no clues then about any entrances or anything else that we should know?
Well, remember, Attila, they might actually know far more, but then we'd have to involve them. And I think we've done enough business with the Triangle. They've already shown themselves to be incompetent and cowards. I mean, I didn't want that dwarf to get eaten, but you saw him. He insulted us and said that we were all incompetent, and I can't have that. It's insulting.
I nod at this.
I don't think they have made that much of an attempt at the place, or if they have, they weren't particularly successful. And I think with the help of the Haras, we should be able to make our way over there, and then us three, we'll be able to find the way in. The one that no one's found yet.
I pick some food out of my whiskers and I say, fine. Do you want to go now?
Yes, let us go now.
No time like the present.
And I shall finish my grog and start leading the way out.
Yes, and we head towards the wharf.
Okay, as you walk down the seafront, you see that the wharf is fairly packed with boats, more so than you'd imagine in a town as small as this. There's even a couple of large ships a bit further down where the jetties start emerging. For that matter, you're not sure where everyone is. With this many boats at dock, you'd assume that the town will be thriving with people. But a lot must go on behind closed doors in Lodok. You approach the estate, which is gated and guarded.
Just before we get properly close to the estate, I look for a little side alley or somewhere I could just quickly duck out of sight. Is that nearby?
The only direct route of entry into this estate is by walking along the seafront, at which point you reach the gate and a wall that shears off as it hits the cliff. The wall going in the opposite direction heads out to sea. It appears the only method of gaining entry other than the gate is via the sea and a boat. Essentially, their estate is almost half submerged.
Well, I frown a little to myself, and then I look at the size of Attila, and I go, wait, no, you'll do. Just let me, hide behind you for a few seconds.
I look at the sea as we pass by along the seafront with a hint of suspicion and possibly disgust.
And I will then, assuming he's given me permission, duck behind him. And then when I'm out of sight, at least from the guards we're about to encounter, I shall use my devious glamour, which allows me to cast Disguise Self without expending a spell slot every short or long rest. And my disguise with Disguise Self is not a very advanced one, because of course Disguise Self isn't that powerful a spell. It doesn't change how I look at all. All it does is make my slightly singed, slightly travel-worn robes look fresh and clean, and a little more ornate, and add just a few more rings and jewels to my person.
That makes sense. Very well. You cast your spell before you approach. Is there any preparation that the other two of you are taking?
I polish the jewelry a little bit, and I try to make myself look as representable as possible.
I look a bit uncomfortable still, and I say, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to present myself as at this place.
You'll be the bodyguard. The bodyguard, everyone needs muscle.
Fine.
Exactly. After all, in this moment, you are representing me, Kadar of Clan Kaldash. And just in case you were wondering, I reach into my pocket and do pull out the seal that I always have on me. That does actually give some indication to those who would know at least that I am who I say I am and part of Clan Kaldash.
Sure. Bodyguard.
Wonderful. Come, let us go. And then I walk up bold as brass to these guards and say, "Hail, friends. You are visited today by an envoy of Clan Kaldash. A pleasure to meet you.
The guard, a large Asathi, in fact one of the largest you've ever seen, all black and green scaled, looks you over. We haven't been told to expect any visitors.
Indeed, you haven't. It's a surprise. That's why I'm announcing myself to you. Isn't that right, Fasaf?
It is. It is indeed. Yes. Surprise.
The family don't like surprises. I'm sorry. You would need an invitation. We can send word that you're here, but word may not respond quickly to invite you in. Perhaps find your berth in one of the taverns. We'll send for you if the family wants you.
Well, of course. After all, we're here to see... And I point at Fasaf.
We're friends of Hara. Yes, of the family. We wish to see the family here. We come with an offer we think can bring you back to the wealth, the power that the clan deserves.
Easy now. The other guard, female, leans forward. We don't talk about the family being weak. I will let them know that you have spoken to Sinky. I'm sure they will be very interested. I've not seen that little brat for many years. You wait. Wait right here.
Of course, and forgive my servant. He is, of course, castless.
Do what the woman says. It's the other guard. She doesn't like people that disobey.
Of course, and again I smile and give a bow as if this is all matter of course. I am, of course, in my fine robes and spindly frame, quite non-threatening looking to most, I imagine.
Once she has headed towards the house, the larger guard kind of relaxes in position. So where have you come down from? I assume you didn't arrive on a boat.
No, we've come all the way from the Jeweled City, my friend.
Really? I've never seen it myself.
You really should. It is the peak of our civilization. It's where we're building our new society. The Queen will soon have it one day that the Asafi are just as mighty as, well, we used to be.
Some of us are destined to a lower form of lot. My friend, I am a guard for life. I will not be leaving this family's service.
Well, you never know. If things go well, perhaps your whole family might even be seated amongst the Queen herself. Ambition, my friend. Always a good thing to have. Isn't that right, Fasaf?
Ambition.
You have not worked for the Hara family, either of you. The other guard returns and gestures for you to enter the estate. It appears it is your lucky day. You have fun in there. Don't steal anything.
Oh, I assure you, if my associate steals anything, my other associate will cut off his hands, won't you, Attila?
I say nothing. I sit there on my lizard mount still. Am I allowed to ride inside, or am I supposed to leave this outside?
There are stables within.
Right, good. I prefer to keep it that way. So I, as a small response, I just look straight ahead, almost as if the comment just went straight by me.
Strong and stoic is my slivering companion here. Strong and stoic indeed. Come, let's go.
You are shown into the estate, past the stables, and indeed, as described, half of it is submerged because they essentially have their own dock. If you wish to make trade directly with the Hara family, you will dock your vessel in their submerged estate, and they will do deals with you directly there, without any of the hassle of having to go elsewhere. It's effective system. It does, however, mean that their entire estate has fallen prey to the elements. Being built directly on the seafront as it is, you can see a lot of the finer stone has been worn away, and anything made of metal has corroded or rusted quite significantly. The deeper in you go, in fact, the older and more run down this estate looks. They clearly maintain the facade, but the interior less so. You're brought through into what might serve as a dining chamber. It's not one long table, it's not some banquet. Rather, you have lots of patches of straw where you might sit down and eat on the floor, tail coiled or legs folded, depending on your race. And eat in that reclined position, as Asathi prefer to. There's a few beds, futon-like structures for the more titled members of the family to recline on as they eat. You are brought in a small selection of savouries and sweets to fill your stomachs, along with some wine that you don't appraise terribly highly, before a regally dressed Asathi emerges. She has a headdress that, if you weren't within her noble house, would probably be comical. Certainly you've never seen anything of the like. It's a mixture of scales and bright blue and green feathers, plumes, stacked on top of each other. You're amazed she's able to keep it on her head until she turns and you see the entire thing goes down as far as her upper back, where it appears to be strapped to her. Clearly this headdress means something of importance to the Haras, but you don't know what it is. Greetings. I understand you come from the city.
Indeed. I am Kadar of Clan Kardash, one of its many scions, and I come to you for a visit, discussion, and perhaps something more. May I have the pleasure of your acquaintance?
I am Lady Oza Hara.
Lady Oza Hara. What an esteemed pleasure to meet you. And I make to stand and then practice a very ornate bow reserved for great respect among one's fellow lords and ladies.
She bows in return. Please be seated.
I nod towards her. I will go for a bow as well, though it's more of a... It's not from here. It's a dwarven move. And I say, Lady Oza.
Vermin. How exotic. A few guards file in after her, and a page. A young page, a young boy, Asathi, comes in dressed in finery. Ignore my entourage. I do not know you. I understand you know the whereabouts of Sinki. Is that why you are here?
I did meet with Sinki, I say. Forgive me, I am Thashath. Yes, I am a friend of Sinki, Hara. When was the last time I met Sinki, actually?
6 months ago.
I met Sinki just 6 months ago. You know Sinki, a wanderlust. He wishes to see the world. Adventure.
The young Hara is a fool. Wealth is where the family is, she says, clearly completely oblivious to the surroundings and the peeling murals on her walls. But you have not brought him back to us.
No. We have come to bring you another form of opportunity. Yes.
You are here to trade, and you smuggled yourself in under false pretenses. Well, I'm afraid my sister, who is the chief of trade, is not in Lodok right now, so you're going to have to contest with my lack of knowledge when it comes to such things. Get to the point, and stop eating.
I have sort of tasted a bit of everything, and I stop putting it down again.
I frown a little as she says stop eating, and I do quickly reach for a glass of wine and start drinking.
Well, you see, it is something perhaps best not discussed in front of everybody here, if you take my meaning, although if you wish it to be known to the entire family, I will of course speak it here as well. It's up to you.
You must understand, friend visitor, that you came here citing the name of one of our family members, but I do not know either of you. You could be assassins. I am not divesting myself of my guards. And my son needs to learn how we do things. So, I say again, get to your point.
Well, firstly, we have not come under false pretenses.
It is a misunderstanding, it seems, that you thought we knew where your son was. We don't, but my associate here did know him. However, I assure you, as I then take out my seal, I am a member of Clan Kaldash, and I do come here offering you something that could benefit your family.
Yes. You see, I suppose it is just as well to put it out there just so you understand how big of an opportunity this is. Are you familiar with the fire rack dragon Rose Rock? Your family holds these creatures in esteem, no?
Yes. We know of Rose Rock of the Fire Rack.
Good. Then you must know that we've decided to serve Rose Rock and we are going to go to the Citadel and we are going to get the most valuable items that they store there, and we're going to bring it to the dragon. We are going to rob them blind and bring their riches to, well, some to the dragon, some to us, and much to you. This could be an opportunity for you to, well, take more power in the city from the other families who don't deserve it as much as you do.
What a tempting offer. To cross the Citadel of Vilhaim in service to a fire rack. Cheerfully declined.
Might I ask why? If you assume risk, what risk is there to you? We will be the ones taking the risk. Worst case scenario, we all die horribly, and anyone who saw us come to you, you can say, we turned those fools away. We thought they were up to something no good, and flung them out. However, if we succeed, you gain a lot.
The longer you are in here, the more likely it is that your actions will be associated with us, so let us continue to keep things brief. The Citadel is unassailable. It is not some place you can just break into, cut a few throats, and make your way off with a chest full of plunder. That is not what the Citadel is. And you serve willingly a fire rack, knowing that even crossing it to the slightest degree will likely result in your painful, albeit short, death. And you want for me to strap my family to that mast.
Well, if an opportunity like this does not mean anything to you, if you do not wish to change the trajectory, let's say, of your house, then so be it. We only wish to help a fellow Asathi and help ourselves. All we need is transportation and some logistical support. That is really it. There's very little risk to you.
Very little risk. Very well. You may buy one of our boats, just like anyone else passing might buy one of our boats. What else was it that you required?
Well, to be honest, we were thinking if you actually knew anything that could aid in this situation, or at least knew someone who might. But It sounds like you're implying you don't really want to be involved. I understand. A family of your standing taking such a risk, well, maybe you deserve your fall and grace. I say this with a very careful tone, as if I know I'm being insulting, but I carry the weight behind me that I don't care.
I would like you to roll your charisma, please.
Yes, would persuasion or deception help here, do you think?
Ooh, I think either of them would work.
Alright then, let's go with... Actually, we'll go with deception because, you know, there's a bit of false confidence here, what I just said. 17.
You are quite an insulting visitor in our house, but I understand your point. If the clan sees fit to send you down here in service to a fire act, then who am I to turn you away? Whatever you take from the Citadel, then, for our part, we would expect, for the sake of security, she turns to the page, note this down, 60% of everything you take. We are the ones who will be bearing the risk. We are the ones who look out to sea and stare at the Citadel every day. We are the ones on the front line. You could go fleeing to Shelzar if it all goes badly. We cannot just move our estate. 60% of everything you steal.
Certainly a good starting point for negotiations, but I have to then add on something. Currently, all you're offering for such a service is a boat. We need information.
Well, you need to ask the right questions then, visitor. You can start eating, and I see you didn't stop drinking. And what of the company you keep? A Slytherin?
He is very useful. I mean, after what you've just told us, we're definitely going to need someone like him, no?
I just look out the windows at the sea outside, and I sniff something new at the table that I haven't yet tasted, and I help myself to it.
As he does that, I look to Fasaf and say, well, Fasaf, ask some intelligent questions.
Aren't you the one to do that, dear Kedar? No, but of course we need to get a good entry point. We cannot just sail up there. There must be some place that is easier to get through. There must have been something you must have seen. Citadel has been there for a long time. Someone must have seen something, no?
I can tell you this. If we make this deal, I will give you all the information I have. 60% of everything you steal, and I will be your source of information regarding the Citadel.
I chew a little on some food then, and remark, well, I suppose 60% is not the end of the world. After all, in case you were wondering, we're not idiots. We're not going to go and simply rob the entire vault, three of us. We are after one thing in particular, but also, potentially, and this is where I look a bit more interested, has there ever been any whispers that there is actually something that belongs to our people in that fort? There are many treasures we have lost over the generations. Is there any such word that maybe there is something that could be worthwhile to our people in the Citadel?
She pauses at that, no longer looking so cynical. Oh, there's rumours of all kinds of treasures hidden away in that Citadel, including treasures very important to the Asathi of old, whether in the form of weapons, heraldry, crowns, robes. This place is a fortress that was meant to be locked away. The items within it may be too powerful or important to destroy, but at the same time too dangerous to allow out onto the mainland. I am no scholar. I cannot name a single item beyond There was an artifact that I was once told of by my sister that our kind held dear. It was known as the Shield of Poppies. The flower, you understand, or weed. Apparently it was held in such high esteem that 200 Asathi died for it. And then, after dying for it, after it was held aloft and claimed as our own, the Titans lost the war. And it was taken from us. Everything we sacrificed to get it. And it was just given away to these humans and locked away in their vault. As I say, am no scholar. I do not know the properties of this shield, if it is just merely a shield adorned with flowers. But I do know that the Asathi held it dear for a time and laid down their lives for it.
Now that, my lady, that could be the true prize here. Yes, Shield of Poppies. Fasaf, make a note. That is our goal, you see. 2 items, 1 you don't need to know. Unfortunately, that would be the payment for this fire rack. I don't really, if I'm honest with you, wish to deal with the fire rack, but we didn't have a choice, and it does offer some things.
In that case, you will procure the Shield of Poppies and you will bring it to us, because we do not know what item it is that you are stealing, and it sounds like it is not just coin and jewels. Making a 60%, 40% split may be difficult. So you will find the shield and you will bring it to us. If you return and you do not, we will assume that you have betrayed us. And while this family has fallen on hard times, we're not incapable of dispatching many assassins to end your miserable thieving lives.
That sounds fair, don't you think, Kadar? We get the shield, we get what we need, and then we move on.
Of course. On one small condition, I look to the page. You will, of course, be using this as a joint venture between our 2 clans, for when we give you the Shield of Poppies, you will, of course, mention we helped you when you present it to the Queen herself.
No, we will be keeping the shield. There is a reason we do not live in the city. We're not presenting it to the Queen. We're not worshippers like you.
I frowned a little and remarked, you really should be.
We clung on to the old ways for long enough to see it erode this family and this house. Do not test me on meanings of faith. Now you wish to know about the Citadel, so I will give you your information. Let us not fall out over something as trifling as dead Titans.
We shall not fall out. More disappointing. You could truly have reached greater heights than simply hoarding something for yourself. However, very well then. We wouldn't know about the shield if you hadn't told us. So yes, we'll strike a deal on that then. We will give you the shield. Exchange for the information and assistance you can have to give us.
You will stay here overnight. I will make you a map, or find one for you, that I believe should be moderately up to date regarding the Citadel, its position, how to access it. You see, the Citadel is not just a static structure. It shifts, it turns, it is like a puzzle. Therefore, entering it is never going to be the same way twice. It is not just that the walls rotate. The bricks move up, they move down, in and out. They twist, they become points, spikes to repel anyone trying to invade. It is really quite an ingenious fortress, made, of course, by the gods, or the Titans, depending on who you believe. Therefore, entering the Citadel is most commonly done via their main dock, because it is the only entrance anyone can find. But there are other routes. I am given to understand that there is an underwater entrance to the Citadel. It is built on a large rocky bluff, and those rocks are on an island of sand. But if you dive down deep enough, you will find a coral reef. And so the legend goes, a door perfectly fashioned within that coral reef that will lead you to one of the sub-levels, so that you never have to encounter a single human manning the Citadel. Why do I know this? Well, you are not the first people to try and raid the Citadel. This was always the way that thieves of old used to speak about accessing it.
I start to move around the room, looking at the different things there and sniff at them. Very curious, but I'm listening to the conversation, and as this is mentioned, I say, "So we're supposed to swim in? How do you get down below like that?"
You just hold your breath and dive. I suppose rats don't like getting wet, which is surprising. They live in the sewers. But there are other methods. Even in town, you could probably find some spellcaster hard on his luck, down on his gambling, prepared to make some kind of incantation and protect you from the water for a time. I would certainly recommend keeping that individual in your employ, because it is quite the distance from shore to Citadel. I imagine you'll find at least one who can manage such a feat. Once you're inside the Citadel, that is where things will become difficult. It is not just the exterior that moves around. Those who have lived within the Citadel for years get to know its tricks, but very few that live there ever leave, so knowledge of its interior workings are slim. What is known is that the vault itself is accessible only via one entrance. Supposedly, just as you had to pass through water to get to its sub-levels, you have to pass through the Citadel's furnace to reach its vault. Worryingly for you, my friends, the furnace is never put out.
Then how do people pass through there?
They don't. The treasures get thrown in. They end up in the vault, I assume. Or burned up. Humans have very strange superstitions.
Once you are past the wall of flame, is there then not a door itself?
No, I'm given to understand that the furnace itself leads down to the vault. How you escape from the vault after you have acquired whatever it is you intend to acquire, I have no idea.
Well, I could see ways of that happening. Do you have anyone reliable that could perform these sorcerous feats? You said of getting us underwater and that.
No, we're not in the habit of hiring mages on retainer, but as I say, if you look around the low dock for a ship's mage, I have no doubt you'll find one deep enough in his cups to sell you his services. I would be interested to see whether you make it out. They say that the Triangle has attempted to raid the Citadel many times, to the point that they have a surfeit of maps, that who knows how accurate they are. But if you can befriend a member of the Triangle, you may well find a little more about some of the guards that lurk within.
I hum and huff a lot as I listen to a lot of this. I suppose this is all possible, but yes, water, tricky. Getting past flames. I mean, I could do that, but then I'm not... wouldn't be very good at carrying anything. The Triangle. They want something. What do you think, Saf?
Is it worthwhile bringing in another enterprise if we, I don't know, offer them something? After all, at the end of the day, we're not there for the whole vault.
I think if we bring together all the strengths of this city, then we just might be able to succeed where others have failed before us. Yes, I think that is a most excellent idea. Of course, we have made the promises we have made regarding the shield, so that is yours. No worries about that. I look forward to this challenge.
Indeed. Very well. You've given us some information and a boat.
I can give you a little more than that.
Oh, you're actually being generous. I should be grateful.
Don't be so incredulous, you venomous little snake.
I smile at that and give a very roguish sort of bow.
Yeah, it's not obvious whether it's an insult or a compliment. I can not only give you a place to sleep tonight while I make this map for you, I can also tell you a little legend that is probably true. You've no doubt heard the reason the Citadel was built or grew out of the earth was to protect the rest of the world from a titan underneath it. Legend goes that it is not a full titan. It is the stomach of a titan underneath. The stomach and lungs, belonging to Golthaga, the blacksmith, if one were to be kind, the forger. That if the Citadel were to fall, unstoppable clouds of thick, tar-like smoke, noxious gas and acid would emerge from the place the Citadel was built. They would completely consume the southern coast of Zathisk, possibly more. That the Citadel is there to act as a stop on the airway and esophagus leading down to Golthaga's lungs and stomach, filled with roiling acids and gases. Still, how can we know that for sure? It has never happened.
And let's hope it doesn't.
I hope it's not coming across and we are some rogues who would happily kill all these guards and countless people. Rest assured, I believe the Titans are right where they should be. Ground level.
Well, do we know whatever's keeping the Citadel together? Surely it's not just these people living there.
I honestly do not know. It is one of the most closely kept secrets that once you rise to the highest level of the rank in the Citadel, you must perform some service to keep Golthaga imprisoned. But I do not know what it is, and they're not telling us.
Hardly our concern. As I said, we're simply at this stage looking to procure a few key items.
Well, I don't know what you think, but in a way it is our concern. In case we should stumble upon any of these items, and then it would prove that they are the ones keeping the Citadel together. Maybe there's more than one reason this Rose Rock wants this to be stolen.
I actually frown a little at that and think to myself, my knowledge of the arcane, surely a few treasures aren't going to be essential to keeping a Titan at bay. I mean, well, maybe something very specific, but certainly not a shield and the other thing.
I suppose not. What do I know?
With that thought on your mind, night has arrived. You are fed, you're bathed, you are given beds. And come the following day, it will soon be time to set forth across the blossoming sea and toward the Citadel of Vilhaim.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Role-Playing, where we play the adventure The Great Vilhaim Heist for Scarred Lands for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Our Dungeon Master was the gentleman gamer, Matthew Dawkins, and we would like to thank him and Onyx Path Publishing for doing this actual play production together with us. The music was made by Ager Sonus and Lesa Listvi, and was used with permission from their label, Cryo Chamber. You can find more delicious dark ambient at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel. If you want to support Red Moon Roleplaying, do check out our Patreon. The show would not be possible without all the generous support we are getting there. You give us so much energy, help us cover our costs, and open up time to record and edit. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And remember, praise Mormo.